Okay, well, welcome everybody. Thank you for attending the Conga Alliance Partners Showcase webinar. We're going to meet a couple of our partners to help you maximize your Salesforce and Conga Composer investments. So the purpose of these webinars is to give our customers the opportunity to get to know a little bit more about their practices and their services they offer just beyond the Conga implementations. So today we're going to showcase Red Argyle and Magnet 360. We have Gary Palmatier here. He is going to cover a few cases of Conga and talk a little bit about the services that they offer. He's going to be focusing on the solutions in the healthcare industry. We also have with us from Magnet 360, Carrie Lassard, and she's going to cover kind of their core competencies in Salesforce and also demonstrate the things that they've done with Conga Composer. So we will go ahead. This webinar is going to be recorded and posted to our website should you care to review it or share it with any of your colleagues. The format of it is we're going to have first Gary talk for about 15 minutes and then Carrie will talk for about 15 minutes and we'll take questions at the end. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Gary Palmatier with Red Argyle.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks to everyone over at Conga for inviting me on this call, and thanks everyone for attending to learn a little bit more about Conga and a little bit about Red Argyle and Magnet 360. So, as I said, I'm Gary Palmatier. I'm managing partner over at Red Argyle. I've been a Conga fanatic since 2008, basically because the first ever solution, Salesforce org that I worked in, Conga was a great solution for some event registration work that we had to do there, and ever since then I've been a big fan. As I've gone through and started Red Argyle, we've continued to work with Conga throughout the years. As you can see on the slide, we're at redargyle.com, and I'm also on Twitter personally. It's DarthGary / DarthGarry. I might be a Star Wars fan. If you want to go ahead and jump to the next slide. So just talking about what Red Argyle does really quick, in addition to Conga merge work, we're a small business. We're about 10 employees here at Red Argyle. We have small business and nonprofit background, and we cater to a lot of small and medium businesses. So one of our more popular offerings is Salesforce On-Demand Administration, where you're a small company, you don't have the resources for a full-time administrator in your org. Red Argyle is able to provide that service on a either very small retainer or even time and materials down to a 15-minute increment, and we're really happy to help out small businesses. We also do some Fortune 500 work. We actually did a few Conga solutions in Fortune 500 companies, really exciting projects. So we've really run the scale, but my heart and our favorite place to work is in the small business side. Red Argyle has two practices. We have a development practice and an administration practice. So in addition to our stable of Salesforce administrators, we also have a few developers on our team who have gone all the way from building small triggers in Visualforce Page to helping new ISV partners envision, dream up, build, and launch apps on the App Exchange. And we actually just got a big one through security review last week that'll be launching at Dreamforce. We're really excited about. And then, of course, I'm sure it's a little obvious, but we do Conga merge. We have, on our on-demand side, we do a lot of Conga merge work with people, and it's definitely a portion of, I would say, 60 to 70% of our projects these days. Because we have a dev team in-house, what we really find a lot of value is being able to, not only just build great Conga merges for people, but once in a while you need a little bit of extra push and enhancement to have a Conga merge project go great, whether it's a custom UI on the front end that gathers the merge parameters or what have you. Our developers are standing by to really help our team and make Conga merge projects go very well. And then we've been doing a lot of work with EchoSign. We use it here internally for all of our sales contracts and HR as well. We love EchoSign, and we love Conga merge and EchoSign put together. It's a very powerful solution. So go ahead and jump to the next slide, and I'll talk about our first use case. So this project was a lot of fun. It's a national financial consulting services company, and what they do is they have monthly meetings with every single one of their customers. It's pretty amazing high level of service that they offer. One aspect of preparing for these meetings is that they needed a way to gather a client's complete financial history, portfolio, family information, estate information, asset information. It's all synchronized with all their services and providing real-time information. When they have these monthly meetings, they need to gather all that information and give the caseworker or their agent a packet of everything that they need to talk about during this meeting. So what we did for them with Conga, well, first I'll say they had an administrative person in their office that would spend well over a day every week preparing all of these packets for their advisors to have meetings with their clients. So what we did was we took all of these disparate data sources and with Conga Composer put it all together so that you can go to an account record and you can click one button and it pulls in, like it says on the slide, 30 reports worth of data, 20 objects worth of data, puts it in a beautifully formatted report, and then what we did just to put a little shine on it was we integrated it with the Google Charts API. So now we can ship those, some of those portfolio allocations and things like that off to Google Charts and insert those resulting documents into the Conga merge. And what you end up with is a beautiful looking document. They're consistent, and not only are they saving time, but they also greatly lowered their human error for putting all these things together, because they literally used to have to open up 30 screens in Salesforce, copy data, paste it to a Word document, all that stuff, multiplied by 50 clients a week. And now they're able to do it with one click. So they thought that was great, but then they said, can you make it even better? Give them an inch, they take a mile. So we said, well, sure. How about we create a field that just tracks the last time someone was met with, and then why don't you just open up a list view and say, show everyone in the list view that you have to meet with this week. And then what we can do is add a Conga Conductor button there. So now instead of opening each account individually, they can open up one list view in Salesforce, click the create one case preps for all these people, puts them all together into one big document, sends it off to the administrator at the office. They print it out, hand it off to all their advisors so that they can go and have all the meetings with the clients. So it literally did reduce a day of work every week down to the amount of time it takes to click a button and print a document, which was a pretty exciting job for us. We implemented this about 1.5 years ago. They're still using it today. That organization is flourishing, and they've been really happy with this work. If you want to jump to the next slide. All right, this one is I love these guys. So Davies Office Refurbishing, a little plug for them. They're a office furniture manufacturer who have really taken green processes to heart, in addition to the work that they do in their manufacturing facility, which is take old office furniture and make it look brand new, and I can attest to it. I'm sitting at one of their desks right now. They wanted to implement more green practices around their office, and when I got there, they were drowning in drowning in paper. And they were also drowning in Excel spreadsheets and a lot of other things that make me a little twitchy as a systems administrator. So what they wanted to do was build a purchase ordering system on Salesforce. Because right now, every single purchase order that they wrote was a separate Excel spreadsheet, and they write to the order of about 5,000 to 6,000 of these a year, which is a ton of Excel spreadsheets and a reporting nightmare. They had no idea, what the status was of everything. They had no idea who they were putting the most orders through. They had no idea who the vendor, what the performance metrics were on the vendor. So we built a few custom Salesforce objects to, capture, relate the vendor data to the purchase order header record, and then attach multiple purchase order line items to that purchase order record. And then secondly, they needed a way to very rapidly generate the purchase order document and disseminate it out to their customers or to their vendors. So Conga to the rescue. This is a very basic merge. It's one master object with one related object and some detail information. So it took us about less than a day to build this merge, and what we're able to do is automate their purchase order process such that when their purchase order is done being built, the PO administrator, again, clicks the magic Conga button, it PDFs the purchase order, sends it off to the supplier, and it also updates a few fields in the purchase order record. The order date gets updated automatically, things like that. We're currently talking to them about adding some conductor operations or Conga workflow operations to further reduce the amount of clicking and batchify some of these sends a little bit more. But again, it's a very huge time saver, and Conga actually wrote a case study about this particular project, which is available, I think, on their site. It's also available on redargyle.com if you want more detail here. This type of use case is pretty universal. If you take the concept of a purchase order and say, what if it's a proposal, or anything where there's a header record with a bunch of detail information. Again, very easy to do with Conga, and you can really save a lot of time, especially if you couple it with some form of electronic signature on the back end. So if you can click to the next slide, I'll talk healthcare for a minute and then transition over. So this one is a project I'm working on right now. So it's, the little yellow shovel guide graphic should have been on it. It's under construction. This is an interesting project because I don't know if any of you on the call are involved in the healthcare industry. If you are, you know that it's really, really fun, I'll say, on the regulatory front, where different states, municipalities, jurisdictions are really cracking down and asking more and more and more of their data providers, anyone dealing with the data, to have to do more. So this use case was an organization that they provide a health information exchange. So they basically connect all the doctors to a central system so they can all share electronic medical records with each other. New York State came along and said, well, that's great, but because you're dealing with all this protected health information, because it's, data, and because you're in New York State and we just like to make a lot of work for people, we want you to audit people that have access to the systems periodically, and provide documentation that you did the audit, and have a recourse for people to respond and keep the level of access by users at the right level. So imagine that you're a doctor's office. You have 10 physicians working there. One of them leaves. No one ever turns off access to the system. How do you get reminded that that needs to be turned off? So that's what we built with Conga, and this actually has two pieces. The one that is on the page right now is a cover letter that basically says, here's a cover letter of the people that we have listed as active in our system that are at your facility. And again, from the data perspective, it's simple. It's just like the purchase order. It's one master object with some header detail, really easy to build in Conga. So what we're doing, similar to the financial services, is once per quarter, we're firing up Conga Conductor. We're cycling through all of the health facilities. For each one, we're generating this document. It's being sent to the administrative contact there to review. And again, that process, which used to be a huge administrative burden for them, they had hundreds of spreadsheets, and it was almost their full-time job, is going to be highly automated on the send side. And then what's interesting is on the receiving side, 75% of the time these come back and they say, list is good, thanks for letting us know. All those communications are logged in Salesforce. Conga kicks off an activity. They monitor the follow-ups so that they have their audit trail to meet the regulatory requirements. And then secondly, if somebody says, well, I need to make some modifications, what we did was we generated another Conga merge that takes the same data that's here, but puts it in an editable, just Excel spreadsheet, sends that to the administrative contact, and then from there what they can do is make edits. They send it into a web or an email to case link, and then when the client receives that, because it's in a spreadsheet that we formatted with Conga, they do an upsert push with that. So it updates people, inserts new people, or removes people that have to be removed. Well, it's actually 2 operations, but all that again, managing all that data is greatly assisted with Conga, saving them a lot of time, and it's going to cut down again on a lot of user error, and it's going to help them meet their regulatory requirements of auditing user access to their systems. So I think with that, we'll move on. Next presenter.
Thanks so much, Gary. That was wonderful. Thanks for telling us about Red Argyle, and these are some great examples of how you've used it in different industries and different scenarios. So glad you've had so much success. I'd like to go ahead and introduce Carrie Lessard with Magnet 360, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to her now.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Carrie Lessard. I'm a business analyst at Magnet 360 and the main point of contact between Magnet and Conga's Consulting Partner Alliance Program. So over the next 15 minutes, I'll give you an overview of who Magnet 360 is, showcase some of our work on the Salesforce.com platform, and then also dive in to show you what we've done for our clients using Conga Composer. So if we go to the next slide, what you see here represents the people of Magnet 360 who deliver every day on our promises. We put our clients front and center and keep our culture strong. So we have about 120 employees. Our headquarters is in Minneapolis, and we have offices in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. And we've won a few awards and have been named Minnesota's fastest growing company, and have been recognized by Forbes as one of America's most promising companies as well. But even more importantly, we've got a culture that we're pretty proud of. We refer to it as a rockin' culture, and we refer to our employees as rock stars and members of the band. And we're committed to fostering entrepreneurship in our local communities. We give back to local charities with Cocktails for a Cause events, and we encourage our employees also to take paid volunteer time off, similar to what Salesforce does with their employees. And we're proud to be named Best Place to Work as well. So for me, being part of Magnet 360, it's an incredible culture, is about delivering consulting services and Salesforce.com expertise to our clients that exceed their expectations and deliver an experience to these clients that builds trust and lets our culture shine. So if we go to the next slide, we'll just kind of go over a little bit more about Magnet 360. Our mantra is engagement for outcomes. So we strive for growth not only within our company, but also for our clients, whether that be financial growth, for example, or growth in efficiencies due to aligning business processes with Salesforce.com and with Conga. We strive for client retention. So with Salesforce, we all know that the possibilities are endless as to what you can do on the platform and with client engagement. So we want to continue working with clients, whether that be with a new consulting project or working with our managed services group. We also strive for efficiency during all of our client engagements. We use the Agile methodology to manage projects, so we work very closely with the client. We get their user stories and requirements. We create acceptance criteria, and we perform demos often, usually about every 2 weeks, to ensure that we're always aligned with the client's end goal for their specific Salesforce.com organization. And all of this is underscored by innovation because of our expertise on the Salesforce platform. So if we go to the next slide. So what you see here is a quick snapshot of our client list. So client trust earned every day is one of our core values. This slide just shows a snapshot of that client list and where we've earned their trust to win their continued business on numerous engagements. But you'll notice that there are some really big names on this list, but there are also a number of smaller clients as well. So big or small, they receive the same level of high level of service and expertise from our delivery team. So the next slide, I've got a few case studies to run through that showcase some of our work on the platform. We worked with Ecolab on several engagements. So this particular engagement, we worked with their healthcare division that provides hygiene and sanitizing solutions to healthcare facilities around the globe. You've probably seen their hand sanitizer if you've ever stayed at a hospital for a short period of time. So we configured their Sales Cloud to increase efficiency and revenue by making it easier for their field sales to do business. So they now have accurate forecasts and account information as well as quota management that they needed to have customized for their business. They use collaboration via chatter and approval processes so that the field can perform their jobs on their mobile devices. They also are now using the leads object, which has been customized for their business and is also a foundation in place for prospect and customer nurturing via marketing automation. And this engagement in particular was a 77-day engagement and resulted in a 96% adoption rate for their users using Salesforce.com, which was very, very impressive. I know that user adoption can be a pain point for many organizations, so we're very proud of this. On the next slide, there's another case study about Honeywell. If anyone was at Dreamforce last year, the Honeywell keynote that was featured showcased a great deal of Magnet 360's work. So Honeywell and Magnet 360 collaborated and used the Salesforce platform as well as the Salesforce Service Cloud to connect customers that use Honeywell's thermostats in their homes with Honeywell's network of HVAC professionals. So via a self-service community, the HVAC contractors can access the consumer thermostat data and then proactively follow up with those customers for service and support. So Magnet 360 was able to implement the first release for Honeywell in 90 days and then has been working with Honeywell ever since that first release and has been releasing new functionality consistently on a quarterly basis. So the next case study I wanted to quickly showcase talks about our expertise with the collaboration cloud with Chatter and in communities. So Magnet 360 teamed up with Medtronic using Chatter and the Service Cloud to build liveongiveon.org. So this is a global online community for patients to share how they are giving back after receiving extra life from a Medtronic medical device. The community gives patients the opportunity to connect with people who share similar health conditions. They connect with patients in similar locations and geographies, and they can even connect with other individuals that have the same favorite charitable causes. So if you have time, check out liveongiveon.org and see what it's all about. It's really a neat forum for these individuals to connect. And then the last case study, just about more focused on Salesforce, is with LifeTouch. So Magnet 360 has a marketing cloud practice that consists of a group of marketing analysts that have deep expertise in Pardot, ExactTarget, and Radian6. And LifeTouch is a company that is known for School Picture Day, so many of you maybe are hearing about this company a lot right now because School Picture Day is either upon you or has just passed. So LifeTouch engaged with Magnet 360 to support their goal of increasing revenues by creating a deeper relationship with customers. So through marketing automation, they are able to proactively inform parents about Picture Day and begin that relationship that was previously controlled by the school and oftentimes controlled by the student when they got a handout from their classroom in their backpack and never showed it to their parents. And as a result of this, being proactive and with the marketing automation, LifeTouch has been able to increase their average order by about 25% and have a foundation in place for long-term nurturing with those parents that they can connect with. And the solution here was implemented in 42 days, and LifeTouch actually got ROI within the first 15 days after the implementation took place. So on the next slide, we'll wrap up about Magnet 360 and dive more into Conga in a moment. But we've got deep expertise in the engagement strategy, knowledge of the Salesforce.com platform on all of its clouds, including marketing, sales, service, and communities. And because of the Agile framework, we're able to deliver faster business value to our clients during all of our engagements. So what I'd like to do now is just transition quickly into our focus in our expertise with Conga Composer. So the first example is what we did for a hygiene products provider for healthcare. So we used Conga to provide a solution, a service reporting solution for this client. So service reps lacked mobility with, and they had a heavy reliance on print materials and laptops. So they were, these service reps going out to these different healthcare facilities were lugging around lots of extra weight. But they needed to provide customers with a complete service report in a timely manner. And various versions of the service report were required, and with a potential of referencing up to 15 different visits in one report for one client. So they had some very specific parameters regarding which elements should be included in customer-facing service reports. So the Conga solution that we built for them was we built a service application in Salesforce that allowed the reps to perform various types of service visits on their mobile tablets. And then we were able to use Conga to create 6 different templates for the various different service reports. And we used formula fields and Conga Composer parameters to streamline the process for the service reps. And then, so with one click of the Conga Composer button on the service report record, it creates a service report PDF and composes an email to the customer with the report already attached. So as an outcome, the client was able to reduce the time it took for their service reps to record their service visits. So what used to take reps upwards of an hour now only took between 10 and 20 minutes total. And they now also have that flexibility of performing their jobs on their mobile devices. The next slide shows what we did for a leader in the retail industry. So, and specifically, we were working with their communications and community relations group. So what this group does is they have to track numerous contacts that advocate on the company's behalf. So these contacts take part in different company-sponsored events and engage in other actions that the company needs to track in a custom activity object, not the native tasks and activities. And because of the custom object that tracks these events and activities, they're peer objects to each other. They can't be pulled onto the same report because of the object relationships. So leadership needed to get all of this on one piece of paper and needed it to be clean and branded for leadership reviews. So with Conga, we used a custom button on the contact record to reference biographical information, and it also referenced various reports that gathered the correct custom activity data related to each contact. And then the button is also able to pull in the image fields to display the contact photo onto the Conga template, which we thought was really a nice bonus. So the outcome was, of course, a branded, stylized, clean document available with just one click of a button. And it was a quick reference guide for their leadership to review key contact information prior to leadership reaching out to these contacts to discuss what else they could do to advocate on the company's behalf. The next slide talks about what we did for just very recently for an agriculture products company. So for this client in the agriculture industry, they wanted to populate a strategic account snapshot, which is a 4-slide PowerPoint presentation that previously account managers would need to manually create for each of their accounts for quarterly business reviews. And they would have to manually manipulate various reports in Excel spreadsheets and then go into this PowerPoint presentation, manipulate the graphics, and it was just a very cumbersome process. So the Conga PowerPoint template pulls all the account information, a list of key contacts, commercial insight information, key initiative records, which is a custom object that they have related to the account, as well as action items related to those key initiatives. So with one click of a button on the Salesforce account record, it populates this 4-slide presentation. No need to manage multiple spreadsheets, no manual manipulation of the graphs and visuals. And all this is generated by the combination of the work inside the Conga button, the parameters within the button, and the Conga template. And then my last example is that I recently had the pleasure to work with Quick Merge Links, which is an add-on application that Conga offers. So for those not familiar with Quick Merge Links, it's a separate object that users can go to aggregate organization-wide reporting, for instance. And then in this particular example, it aggregates user-specific reporting. So you can see on this slide here that I've got a drop-down list called Sales Rep Name, where you can choose the sales rep that you want to pull this report on. And then I also have where that launch button launch button is, it's called Launch Date Picker. So when you click that launch button, you're able to dynamically choose a time frame that you want this report to run. So it's not necessarily going to be already dictated by the reports that you've created in the background with Conga. You can leave those reports at an all-time time frame, and then this date picker will say, use this time frame for, to pull this report that I want to see. So if you need to look at it on a quarterly basis, on a half-yearly basis, or maybe you just want to look at the past month, you can do that without having to update your reports in the background. You can just do that with this customized date picker application. So on the next slide, I'll show you the output. So the client's management team conducts management business objectives, or MBOs, and reviews this periodically with their sales rep to review any sales activity with both active prospects and customers. And prior to implementing Conga, they were managing all of this via spreadsheets with multiple versions floating around and no historical data capture. So after implementing Conga and Salesforce and Quick Merge Links, managers are now able to pull MBOs based on the sales rep and dynamically choose that time frame for review. So with that wraps up my examples, but just a little Dreamforce plug. We will be at Dreamforce, which is kicking off in less than 2 weeks, if you can believe it. On the next slide, you can see that we'll be stationed in Moscone Center South. We're in the Gateway Ballroom in the Industry Zone in the Healthcare and Life Sciences booth. So we do have a few events that we're co-hosting during Dreamforce. The Dreamforce Elite Experience, Rise and Shine Financial Services Breakfast, Cocktails in the Clouds, and for anyone in the Minneapolis area not going to Dreamforce, we're hosting a keynote viewing party on Tuesday the 14th from 3 to 6 at our offices. And with that, thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to answering any questions you have. And if you need to find out a little bit more about Magnet 360, visit our website, magnet360.com. Thank you.
Great. Thank you both. Thank you very much, Carrie. That was a wonderful synopsis of everything that you do between Magnet 360 and everything that you've done with Conga. So we really appreciate both your time. Gary Palmatier with Red Argyle and Carrie Lessard with Magnet 360. Here is their information if you care to get in touch with them. Also, if you decide to go ahead and get started on your own, please remember that we have excellent resources on our website, documentation, Conga University, quick starts and webinars. We also have videos, or you can always just pick up the phone and call us anytime. We're here for you. So we will go ahead and post this webinar on our website shortly, should you care to go back and review it or share it with any of your colleagues. Please join us October 8th for our next Alliance Partner Showcase webinar. Thanks, everybody.